Welcome back. So, we've covered daily expressions and technology, and today we're stepping into a topic that is absolutely everywhere right now: the environment and climate change. This one comes up in IELTS so frequently, and yet so many students rely on the same tired phrases. We're going to fix that today.
Yeah, I feel like everyone just says global warming is a big problem and stops there. But there's so much richer language available if you know where to look.
Exactly. So, let's just dive in naturally. Tell me, do you consider yourself an environmentally conscious person in your day-to-day life?
I'd like to think so, honestly. I mean, I try to cut down on single-use plastics. I cycle when I can instead of taking the car. And I've been making more of an effort to buy locally sourced food lately.
Locally sourced. Beautiful phrase right there. It means food or products that come from nearby rather than being imported from far away. And notice how naturally it fits into a personal response. That's exactly the kind of specific language that impresses examiners.
And I think once you start paying attention to your carbon footprint, you start noticing all these small choices that actually add up.
Carbon footprint. We all know that one, but the key is using it fluently in context, not just dropping it in awkwardly. And add up, meaning small things accumulate into something significant over time. Small daily habits really add up in the long run.
What about when people push back and say individual actions don't really matter, that it's corporations and governments that need to change?
Oh, that's such a rich debate for part three. And a native speaker wouldn't just say, I agree or I disagree. They'd say something like, there's definitely something to that argument, but I think it overlooks the role of consumer demand in driving corporate behavior.
There's definitely something to that argument. I love that. It's a graceful way of partially agreeing without fully committing.
And overlooks is such a powerful academic verb. Instead of ignores or misses, saying something overlooks a factor sounds measured and intelligent. You can use it across so many topics.
What about describing the actual environmental problems themselves? Because sometimes I feel like students just list problems without really describing them vividly.
Right. So instead of just saying pollution is bad, try air pollution has reached alarming levels in many urban centers with serious consequences for public health. See how that's more layered? You've got the scale, the location, and the impact all in one sentence.
Reached alarming levels. That's a strong collocation. Much more vivid than just pollution is increasing.
And for climate change specifically, strong collocations include rising sea levels, extreme weather events, ecological collapse, shrinking biodiversity, and unsustainable consumption patterns. These phrases signal to the examiner that you have genuine topic knowledge.
Unsustainable consumption patterns. It almost sounds like something from a research paper.
And that's exactly the register you want for Band 7 and above in IELTS academic speaking. You're not writing a paper, but you are demonstrating academic level language awareness. There's a difference between sounding natural and sounding simplistic.
So how do you balance sounding natural with sounding academic? Because I think that's where a lot of students get confused.
It's about layering. Start with a natural conversational opener. Honestly, I think, or the way I see it, and then deliver your point using precise vocabulary. So you might say, honestly, I think unsustainable consumption patterns are at the root of most environmental crises we're facing today. Casual start, academic content.
That's such a practical technique. The casual opener lowers the pressure, and then the content does the heavy lifting.
Exactly. And it also makes you sound like a real person having a real conversation, which is what IELTS speaking is designed to assess.
What about solutions? Because part 3 often asks, what do you think should be done about? And students freeze.
For solutions, structure your answer with a suggestion phrase first. One approach that could make a real difference is, or, I strongly believe that investment in renewable energy is the most viable path forward. Notice viable. It means practical and achievable, much stronger than just good or possible.
Viable path forward. That's a great one. And investment in renewable energy is a collocation that works across so many questions.
Absolutely. You can apply it to economy questions, government policy questions, education questions. Versatile language is always worth learning.
I also think talking about personal connection to the environment makes answers more compelling, like mentioning specific things you've witnessed or experienced.
100%. Examiners respond well to authentic personal detail. Something like, growing up, I remember the river near my home being much cleaner. The change over the past decade has been quite striking, honestly. That kind of grounded, personal observation brings your answer to life.
Quite striking. Another understated but effective phrase. It's stronger than surprising, but not overdramatic.
And British English speakers particularly love that kind of understated expression. Quite remarkable, rather concerning, somewhat alarming. These qualify your statements and make you sound measured rather than exaggerated.
This has been such a packed session. I feel like I've genuinely expanded my vocabulary just from this one conversation.
That's the power of immersive listening. All right, let's get into our post-session breakdown. Here's everything worth taking away from today.
Let's go.
First, locally sourced, meaning produced nearby rather than imported. Great for environment, food, and culture topics. Carbon footprint, the total greenhouse gas emissions caused by an individual or organization. Use it confidently and in context, not just as a buzzword. Add up. Small things accumulate into something significant over time. Small daily habits really add up in the long run. There's definitely something to that argument, a sophisticated way of partially agreeing without fully committing. And overlooks is such a powerful academic verb. Instead of ignores or misses, saying something overlooks a factor sounds measured and intelligent. You can use it across so many topics. Reached alarming levels, a vivid collocation for describing worsening problems, applicable to pollution, inequality, and stress topics as well. Unsustainable consumption patterns, academic phrase describing habits that cannot continue without damaging the planet. High impact vocabulary. Viable path forward, a practical and achievable solution. Renewable energy is the most viable path forward for reducing emissions. Quite striking, understated British English for something noticeably surprising or significant. Pronunciation tip, ecological. Stress falls on the third syllable, ecological. Practice it slowly first, then bring it up to natural speed. It's a word many students mispronounce under pressure. Grammar note, today we used passive constructions for objectivity, like air pollution has reached alarming levels, biodiversity is being threatened. In academic speaking, passive voice occasionally adds a formal, objective tone that works well for part 3. Final practical IELTS tip. For every environmental problem you mention, immediately follow it with either a cause or a consequence. This two-part structure, problem plus impact, instantly makes your answer more developed and earns you higher marks for coherence.
Every episode genuinely feels like a masterclass. I'm taking notes.
That's exactly what we want to hear. Episode 4 is coming up. We're going to talk about education, which is one of the most common IELTS topics, and one where the right vocabulary can really set you apart. Don't miss it.
See you there.